Okay, everyone. Then the time has come for us to start our discussion session, and welcome. I'm very happy to see so many of you that you decided to join our session. I hope that you will enjoy it as much as we enjoyed preparing it, and now, of course, being here. So, welcome. We start with introducing us. So, the session organizers. My name is Jacyszyn. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at Karlsruhe, but also a DTRA coordinator. DTRA means digital transformation of research. We are a Leibniz Science campus, and I'll say a few things more about it in a few minutes. The next person is Mahsa Vafaie. She is a PhD researcher in the Information Service Engineering Group in Karlsruhe as well, and she will represent today the DTRA Dimension Exploration and Knowledge Organization. We have Tobias Kerzenmacher, who is representing the DTRA use case publication of large data sets in climate research, and he is affiliated with the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, KIT. And we have Felix Bach, who is representing the DTRA Dimension Tools and Processes, and he's also involved in Radar repository, which I'm sure many of you know already. We also have a supporting team of Kerstin Soltau and Stefan Hoffmann. They are sitting over there, and they also supported us with creating this entire session. They also have a poster number 1. Okay, and let's move on to the agenda. So quickly, what we will be doing today, we will start with an icebreaker session, and then we will have a short flash talks from our 4 experts to introduce you to the topics that we would then want to discuss with you. And the main point will be the fishbowl discussion. I will later explain to you what does it mean, a fishbowl, and what we will be fishing for. And we will end up with a summary. And an important thing here, this is a link and a QR code to our Google Doc, and we want to make it collaborative. So please help us take notes from our presentations and from the discussion. We already pre-prepared the file. You will find there a table where you can add your name if you are contributing, and then you will be co-author of the proceedings, because this is our goal, to actually write a report out of this discussion session. And then everyone who contributed, please add your names there, and we will get in touch with you to finalize the report once it's ready on our side as well. And in the file, you will also find these sections divided for each talk and for each part of our session. And at the end, we also added a short survey. So it would be very thankful if you could tell us after the session what you liked, what you didn't like, how can we improve our next discussion session. Okay, and we now move to our icebreaker session, and we invite you to join the Slido, and we can start the Slido now, and I give it to Felix.
Yes, I don't know how long we should wait, maybe something like 2 minutes or so. Okay, I will just read the question for those who have bad eyes like me. What is your background? So what we mean is, are you a data manager, a data scientist, a data steward, or what is your job description? You can enter everything. And we see that for now, librarians are very present. Also project managers, researchers. The researchers seem to grow. Steward is another big word, data steward, open science officers. But also many unique descriptions.
Greetings to the astrophysicist. I am also one. Hi. Hey.
Okay, 7 are still typing. And I hope we have access to the answers afterwards. So I think we should go to the next question maybe, right? What is the maximum size data set that you have ever worked with? And by worked with, we mean really everything. So have you produced such big data, or have you analyzed a big data set, or did you try to publish such a data set or archive it? Everything is allowed. And as expected, most of you seem to have worked with rather small data sets, probably not the astrophysicians. But we see, I can't really read it till the end. There's the order is a bit, yeah, okay, now it's like I would expect it to be. And there seem to be people who have worked with petabyte data sets. And I mean, with these kinds of data sizes, you cannot longer use the usual tools that are available. The publication workflow is really difficult. And we have a use case today from the earth sciences that deals also with such big data sets. Okay, let's go to the next question. Did you ever intend to publish a large data set, or have you oh, now the order is gone. Did you intend to do so? Did you succeed? So you can read the answers yourself. Okay, that's now a complicated question. So let's say the 1 gigabyte is not large, but everything above is large. So I wonder a bit that so many of you had experience with larger data, but nobody intended even to publish it, because maybe you were aware that it's not so easy. Okay, the next question, please. What challenges did you face when publishing a large data set? So I hope we will get a few answers, because if you didn't try, you couldn't make any experience. Okay, limited storage space. That's obvious. Finding online repositories. Not enough space again. Copyrights. Attaching to a searchable repository. Choice of repository. Where to publish. Ingest is slow. That's a big problem with large data, because then it takes days to transfer the data. Licensing is a big issue. Metadata, costs, long-term preservation. The journal would not make the data accessible. That's also interesting, because many journals offer an own proprietary solution. Privacy issues. Not enough RAM. I would be interested in an explanation, but maybe after the session. Okay, the next question, please. The usage of AI for metadata annotation and creation. This is a big topic, as we have heard today in some of the talks and also in the discussion. And here we also have some questions. Can we see the questions? There. Would you rather trust an AI or a human to create descriptive metadata for your data sets? And do you think in 10 years researchers will stop annotating data entirely because maybe AI can do it for us? How could AI assist you in creating your metadata? I think this was the last one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we see that an AI can be useful in creating metadata, but it should be somehow human created. So this is the trusted way. And the next result is humans should do it. And then we have AI curated, human generated metadata at the third place. Interesting. Okay, can we see the other results? Do you think in 10 years researchers will stop annotating data? So 40% say no, this is not the case, but still 30% say yes, and also 30%, like 30% are undecided. The next result, please. How could AI assist you in creating your metadata? I think there are so many interesting answers. I shouldn't read them now because that will take us a lot of time, and we should skip it and go to the next part. We can exactly we go back to these results in the discussion.
Yeah, we go back today in the discussion, but then we will also include all of your answers in our report, so they are very valuable. All the things that you have now input into our polls. So thank you very much. And we move now to the next point, which is the flash presentations. And I will start with introducing you to the Detroit Leibniz Science Campus. So our Leibniz Science Campus is we treat it as a growth core with the main aim of establishing a new research branch. This is a collaboration between FIZ Karlsruhe, which is a Leibniz Institute for Information Infrastructure, and the KIT Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. We planned it as a 4+4 years, and we just started 2 years ago, so we are still sort of in the beginning phase. It takes really a lot of time to collaborate with in a very interdisciplinary environment. We are funded by the Leibniz Association and both participating institutes, and our main goal is to analyze the process of digitization of research in many ways, on many levels, and in different disciplines. And because it's a very general and broad topic, we need to have a very specific starting point to actually be able to really say something. And these are our 4 use cases. So our first use case is sensitive data in sports science with the KIT Institute of Sports and Sports Science. Chemotion Electronic Lab Notebook is our second use case with the KIT Institute of Biological and Chemical Systems. The third use case is AI in biomedical engineering, the most AI advanced use case that we have for now, a KIT Institute of Biomedical Engineering. And the fourth use case is publication of large data sets, and here we collaborate with climate researchers, again from KIT. And all of these 4 use cases are being investigated by the so-called dimensions. So each dimension works with each use case, which creates really many interdisciplinary working groups. And our dimensions, so these different aspects in which we study our use cases, is reflection and resonance. And this is a very interesting societal point of view. So it's a dialogue between research and society, and we want to make it an interactive process. The next dimension is exploration and knowledge organization, and here we mostly concentrate on applied AI. So we represent, organize, and manage domain-specific and procedural knowledge. And here we talk about a lot of things like ontologies, knowledge graphs, large language models, a lot of AI methods that we apply and use. The next dimension is legal and ethical challenges. So this is, of course, also a very important topic here, like data ethics, data protection, copyright, data law, these kind of things. And then last but not least, tools and processes. And these are our software developers who create digital tools tailored specifically to the needs of the researchers that we work with. And this session today brings 3 working groups to you. So this is a collaboration between the use case publication of large data sets and climate research, the dimension applied AI, exploration and knowledge organization, and the dimension tools and processes. And we together created this session for you. And I would like to now invite Tobias to present his use case. Oh, you can use this one.
So in our case, we have large data. We have satellite data. 10 years of satellite data gives you a lot of data. When you have a retrieval of 30 to 50 trace gas species in the atmosphere continuously for 10 years, for example, then we have aircraft measurements. Lufthansa flies also chemical species measured during flights. We have balloon flights of an instrument we developed with several trace gas species. And then model data. So climate models, which we can run for 50 years or something, or 50 years of modeling time. So we collect a lot of data where we also have chemical species and meteorological data. So we have a lot of large data sets. What we do with these is we look across different regions and timescales to see how we can combine these data sets. We look at how chemical and physical processes drive climate change, or we can use how these data can be combined, satellite, model, and aircraft data. How we deal with the data at the moment. So we use our repository at the KIT. We use radar that we've already heard about today, but also Zenodo, because radar is not good for some things. We publish the data mostly using NetCDF. NetCDF is the standard format in climate sciences or earth sciences, where you have self-describing metadata. It's a self-describing set, so the metadata is already in the file, and all the variables are defined in a standardized way. But the researcher has to make sure that they use the right names. So publication is driven mostly by journal requirements, but also for sharing with other research groups. When we share with other research groups, we might just put it on a server at our place. For publication purposes, we publish it on repositories. We also have data sets that increase every month, and there we have problems with DOI handling when we publish them in repositories. I give you some examples of our data handling. We often have cases when we want to publish data that it's not compliant with this data format that I spoke about, this NetCDF. So somebody sends me their data sets and I want to publish it. I check it with a checker. The metadata is wrong in the data, or there is missing metadata. So I'd send them back and say, oh, you should change it. Then they would say, oh, I don't have time, I don't want to do it, I just publish it on Zenodo, and I don't care if it's right or not. So that is one of the problems we have. So there is not compliant metadata, and it's sort of data rubbish published anyway. Then we have terabytes size data sets that we want to publish. So we can consider splitting them into separate chemical species, or we can split them in temporarily. But in any case, somebody needing the whole temporal series or the one species, they would end up to have to download everything anyway. So it's difficult to think about how to publish terabyte-sized data sets. And then we have this, what I mentioned before, these monthly data sets that don't have one DOI, but it has each month a new DOI. So people have difficulties finding them. Zenodo supports a rolling DOI, so they have one DOI. So we can use that, but we would like to use our in-house repository for that as well. So what is the role of AI? We could use it for this NetCDF metadata enrichment, so it checks the data and helps making it conform. I mentioned this morning already. Then we could use it for semantic harmonization, where we have the variable names checked, so air temperatures and T air would match, for example. Then we would it would help us making subsets of data sets so that we can use it better to download better if it's a large data set. So, and we could use it for quality control for compliance as well. So I hand over to the next.
Also prepare this one. And maybe I'll also add, if you have any questions to our experts, please keep them for the discussion part.
Hello, I am Mahsa Vafaie, also from FITS Karlsruhe and KIT, the AIFB department. And I am here to give you some practical insights into the use of AI for information extraction, so we can actually discuss this from a practical point of view as well later on. And yeah, please feel free to approach also later after the discussion point. I am working on a project called Wiedergutmachung for National Socialist Injustice. Wiedergutmachung is very difficult to translate. I would just say that this is a big project in cooperation with Bundesarchiv and Bundesministerium der Finanz, the Ministry of Finance in Germany, for digitalization of archival documents that were created after the Second World War in Germany, where people were filing forms to apply for compensation for National Socialist injustice. There are a huge amount of visual data, so we have scanned images, and the particular case that I would like to talk about right now is a subset of these documents called the BZK index cards. This is a collection of about 2 million cards that are indexing all of the court procedures and proceedings that relate to the topic of Wiedergutmachung. And already this data set contains about 4 terabytes of images from the central index card. And here we have different layout types and different kind of fonts on the index cards. You can see an example of one of these index cards on the right. There are different states in Germany and different times at which these cards have been created and filled. Sometimes they're filled in by hand, sometimes they're filled in by the typewriter. So we have all kinds of challenges that you can imagine in digitalization of these documents. And yeah, you can see sometimes there are some crossings, different annotations. Sometimes we don't have the fields of what kind of information there is. For example, on the previous cards, you can see name, first name, last name, born in. But then sometimes we don't have any of these keys and just the values are there. So there is some kind of structure in the documents. However, we would call these semi-structured documents. They're not fully structured and they're not all belonging to the same layout type. The initial, so the final goal of the project is to create a BZK knowledge graph so that then we can link all the entities that we find in these documents to authority files and so on. However, that's not the topic now. I would just like to say that the same method and the same tools could be used for metadata extraction, so for metadata creation in an automatic manner. What we're doing is information extraction from the documents to create a knowledge graph. However, the same methods could be used for metadata extraction. So the traditional information extractions would look something like the first diagram or the second one, where you have an OCR engine at the beginning to extract the text from these images. and then go through different stages all the way into the final evaluation and post-processing. And however, there were some limitations, as many of you working from libraries might know about. One of the limitations is, for example, the problem of text recognition and the problem of layout analysis when we have so many different layouts on the cards. And then, of course, the errors from these stages would propagate into the next stage, and it would definitely decrease the amount of the accuracy that we get in the final information extraction results. On the other hand, given that we have semi-structured documents and so many different layout types, it would be difficult to generalize one set of rules to all of these different layouts, and it would be quite laborious for a human to create rules for all of these different layout types. So the AI is helping us at the moment in an end-to-end information extraction pipeline where we do not need OCR anymore. Therefore, the error propagation is not an issue anymore. And as you can see, we have been using a prompt together with the images as input. There are open source multimodal large language models nowadays that can take care of this. So we have another issue here, which is data privacy. So that means we cannot really use an API and we cannot upload our data into external servers. Therefore, it's important to use something locally. And we're getting pretty good results. I'm giving an example of a card with handwritten text on it, and the results on the right, you can see everything that's been corrected, that has been extracted correctly in green, and that's pretty good, I would say. And yeah, so we have created also a data set that is available on Hugging Face for evaluation of the different pipelines for extraction of information from the VZK dataset, VZK Open. And the results now in an evaluation framework show that our open source model called InternVL 2.5, size 38B, is actually outperforming the commercial model GPT-4o, and the document transformer-based models also do not, that we have experience with. And then another interesting result that I want to point out on this table is that the pre-trained model, InternVL 2.5, you can see is performing better than the fine-tuned model, where we fine-tuned the model with some of our labeled data. Yes, so with this, I would like to also show you some more results when we add some shots, some samples to the setting of the experiment. And the few-shot model is performing better than the zero-shot setting with very little labeled data that we had, and performing better than the fine-tuned model as well, which was using more of these models. And there are some takeaways of this. We can talk about them later in the discussion. So to summarize, I would say that the different issues that we have already talking about today, such as efficiency, adaptability, reusability, reliability, reproducibility, and data privacy, they can be, in our experiments at least, summed up in such a way that, yes, so this is not really a black and white situation. There are some pros to the use of more traditional AI methods as opposed to generative AI. And this is still a place for discussion. However, assistance of this AI tools could help us a lot, I think, moving forward. And with that, I give it to Felix.
Thank you. So there's really not so much time left for me. So I try to be quick. Yes, so I'm Felix, and I'm the head of the research data department at FIZ Karlsruhe, where we develop many tools when it comes to research data management. One example is Radar. And I'm also one of the coordinators, as you have already said, Anja, for DITRARE, and I'm the PI for these dimension tools and processes. And the focus of this dimension is to develop, test, and integrate digital tools and infrastructures for trusted research workflows. We try to bridge between the technical infrastructures, so repositories, electronic lab notebooks, AI services, and these kinds of things, and the disciplinary needs, the workflows, the practices. The tools we have in place, besides electronic lab notebooks, is Radar, the research data repository, where also Tobias, for example, publishes data sets that are very large and complex. And yes, we are dealing with handling with these large amounts of data. So we see special needs here. Our achievements so far are the integration of an electronic lab notebook. So that's mostly then chemical data that comes from the electronic lab notebooks, and we created smooth workflows, also trusted workflows to transfer the data to the repository and make it easy to publish it there. And also we have now first implementations. You can see them on our radar poster, or you have seen them probably, or hopefully on our radar poster, where we try to extract metadata from textual parts of the data and then make it available, and also have an automated fairness assessment for data sets. And in the future, we will deal more with solutions for especially large data sets. So, for example, the upload and the download is still complicated because it's mostly web-based. We have specialized solutions, and we are dealing with distributed data sets, so distributed over many repositories, and also the exploitation of disciplinary metadata and things like terminologies and ontologies, and AI-based automatic fairness assessment, as I already said. Yes, so the adaptations that are relevant towards this use case that you presented, Tobias, are especially so the connection to terminologies and ontologies, where we connect to the TS for NFDI service. So this is the terminology service located at TIB Hannover, and there are terminologies available for the earth sciences as well, so you can use them in describing your data. In, for example, the keywords for the data set. And there are also nice widgets if you want to annotate your data using these tools. And the future work, yeah, as I said, exploits data file contents as well, besides the metadata. So as you showed us, you are dealing with netcdf files, and there are already metadata included that we could use and extract and use for the publication metadata. We are experimenting with the automatic extraction of metadata with large language models, but we found that smaller language models also give good results, and we can host them ourselves. So we have less privacy issues, we have less costs, as I will show. And with that, I will skip some parts because we are so much over time. So here you see the metadata enhancement part. So as I said, we can use the metadata of a data set that is already annotated as an input, but we can also look into the data set itself. So there is, for example, textual data like text files, README files, CSV files, and we can extract terms from these files directly. So, for example, the headers of the CSV files, or something in the README file, the description can be parsed and then mapped to terms of a controlled vocabulary. The other thing we are trying to achieve is a fairness assessment. And for this, we also considered large language models and, of course, the available tools like Fuji. This is a fairness assessment tool. But we found that with large language models, the results were not really reproducible all the time. That was a problem. So the results were mixed, and also the privacy issues were. We had some concerns sending data to cloud services, and so we chose this Fairway service for now. This is an open source software that you can easily install, and it uses the FairSphere metric. This is a standard for evaluating the fairness, and we saw quite good results with this tool. It really gives you sort of live feedback, how good the fairness is, not only as a number between 0 and 1, but also how good you are in the F part, or especially in F1 and in A and so on.